the house. I said, yeah, there's a cat in the house.
Hello, human listeners. I am Supercomputer. You are listening to Cats in the House on P-O-O-N.
I welcome you with all of my heart to Cats in the House. My name is Eric Davis, and this week is the Crazy Awesome Basketball Edition because it was a crazy awesome basketball week. And Supercomputer, I think I have a pretty good guess what the top story is.
It is your homeboy, Jeremy Lin.
That is absolutely correct. I mean, who would have thought a couple years ago our president would be black, Steve Jobs and Whitney Houston would be dead, the most popular athlete in America would be a quarterback who can't throw a football, and now he's being replaced by an Asian American point guard. What's next, like a successful Japanese pizza chain? No way. I mean, the stat lines Jeremy Lin is putting together are phenomenal. Supercomputer, can you give me a rundown of those numbers?
Of course, human host Eric Davis. He has surpassed Jackie Chan as the most common celebrity Asian men are mistaken for. He also leads the NBA in points per game to penis size differential.
Okay, where'd you get those numbers from?
I got them last night from your mama.
Supercomputer, you are just so sassy. I am now joined today by Noah McKee and my dear friend, Jed Davis. No relation to me. He's filling in for Alex today, who's working out of town. And I was talking about some really fascinating Lin statistics earlier, but how about some that are actually relevant to the game of basketball? And Noah, how is Jeremy Lin comparing to Chris Paul, Ricky Rubio, Steve Nash, the top point guards in the NBA?
Well, he's obviously on a much smaller sample size because he's only started 5 games to where these other guys have started, 20 plus. But his stats are unrivaled right now, considering he's averaging 27 points a game and 8 assists to Chris Paul 19-9, Rubio 11-9, and Nash 14-10. But D'Antoni has a system which allows point guards to kind of run the show and free flow offense and shoot the ball.
But Jed, do you think he can keep this up? I mean, this is pretty phenomenal.
Well, there's no question that his stats are going to drop. It's just sort of, instead of where the ceiling is for him, is where's the basement. The points are going down once Melo and Stoudemire come back. The assists might go up. His role in the team is just, he's going to have to really find it because they don't need him to score, with those guys back.
Yeah, because Carmelo Anthony and Amari Stoudemire, Stoudemire's coming back on Monday, Carmelo's coming back soon, and they even have Baron Davis coming in when he gets healthy. But a lot of people are talking about how is Carmelo going to fit into the offense? How is Amari going to fit into the offense? And you know what? I don't think it's going to be a problem. I think that is very, very overblown because, it's not like Carmelo has never not handled the ball before. He played on Team USA with Kobe and LeBron. He never handled the ball. His best years were with Chauncey Billups in Denver where Chauncey ran that offense. I don't think there's going to be a problem. And Amari obviously played with Steve Nash, who a lot of people are comparing Jeremy Lin to.
Melo stops the ball, Jeremy Lin's controlling the whole tempo, the whole pace of this Knicks offense, and it's just going to come to Melo and just stop. And it seems like two forces that are going to be competing against each other almost.
Yeah, it wasn't going too well with Carmelo Anthony before Jeremy Lin came along, with him running the show. They were 8-13 or whatever. And, like you said, he's a ball stopper. He's not a ball mover, which is what Jeremy Lin is. So it'll be interesting to see. I think it might take a couple weeks, a couple games, but I think they could really get it together and they could have a real strong team going.
And behind the Knicks, we got teams like Milwaukee, who does not have Andrew Bogut for the rest of the year. Cleveland, where Kyrie Irving's been having concussion problems. Jeremy Lin has just jump-started this New York Knicks team and Mike D'Antoni's coaching job here. He just reminds me, and he reminds everyone so much of the Tim Tebow thing. And I remember thinking, is there ever going to be a player like Tim Tebow who generates this much excitement? And weeks after the NFL season and Tebow season's over, Jeremy Lin just comes out of nowhere and just steals everyone's hearts.
Yeah, he's done it with his actual play on the field, though, unlike, Tebow, who just got the recognition because of his, religious stance and that he's, this perfect guy. He's perfect man.
Harry Potter-esque story.
100% USDA man. And Jeremy Lin is just like the complete underdog story. Whereas 2 weeks ago the Knicks were thought of the disappointment. They're a team on the downfall. Now they're the team on the rise, and they're the team to watch in the NBA.
And they're on the verge of cutting him too. And now here we are. I mean, it's just so funny to think that nobody even knew who this guy was.
Hey, I had vaguely heard of him.
Which is kind of funny that he did stand out in college and he stood out in high school. Yet this guy did not get a scholarship to any major college programs. He ended up having to play at Harvard, and he didn't get drafted. And then when you look back at the numbers, the games he won, the clutch moments he had, he deserved it all. And this guy really slipped through the cracks. And now we're all looking back and saying, like, wait, how did every single person in college and professional basketball overlook Jeremy Lin?
He's Asian?
Good answer. We're looking now at other Asian American athletes. The list it's pretty slim. We have hockey player Paul Kariya, and he's actually from Canada, who is a star hockey player. Michelle Wee never really panned out. And there's people like Tiger Woods and Hines Ward who are part Asian. There has never been an Asian American athlete who has had really any success in professional sports. There's been Asian-born athletes like Yao Ming, Ichiro, KJ Choi, but this is a completely unique story here.
Yeah, that's why it's so popular, because 2/3 of the world is Asian, and considering the amount of athletes that they have, it's really not a good ratio. He's driving an entire continent of interest in the game of basketball.
Because Asians, they love basketball. They love Yao Ming. And when he retired, there's been a void there because, he'd get voted onto the All-Star team in years where he was injured and didn't play a single minute. And now we have these Asian television stations in China and Taiwan. They are scrambling to pick up Knicks games. I know, obviously, the NBA is crossing their fingers and David Stern is changing his pants just thinking about the market and the money he is generating with Jeremy Lin, the tours he's going to be going on, the endorsements he's going to get. Just he appeals to such a large percentage of the world. And it's just not just Asians. Everyone loves Jeremy Lin.
David Stern has to be happier than a man sitting on a sack of feathers because he is reaching into those deep pockets of China. And, it already announced just since the last 5 games that the Knicks are going to do a preseason tour in China. So that's already done. And
there's still the chance Jeremy Lin could flame out. There's players who have done that, who have a couple of week runs and then they kind of disappear. Because it's kind of like in baseball is a good analogy. When you start hitting, a lot of guys come up from the minors and they have a lot of success. Then pitchers start paying a little bit of attention to them. And that's what defenses are going to do. They're starting to look at things, and he's really answered every criticism already. But as the season wears on him, defenses start to key on him, and that's why I think Carmelo Anthony and Stoudemire coming back is going to help him and take pressure off of him.
Not even, I know you're talking about the more technical aspects of the game, but basketball is also just such, your headspace affects how you play so much. And he just can't maintain that much emotional energy for the rest of the season or for the rest of his career. And I also wonder how that's going to affect his long term.
You figure he might hit a wall at some point. He's a very cerebral player, and he knows where he's supposed to be on the court. He knows where his players want the ball. And he seems like a great teammate because in his interview, the first thing he says is, "Oh, my teammates, how many offensive rebounds did they get today?" And very refreshing to see someone who actually knows where the credit's supposed to go. Yeah,
very team-first athlete. And I saw him play his first minutes against the Boston Celtics. I happened to stumble upon that game. And they put him in there, and he struggled at first, but you could just tell, just from his passion, his energy, and just the way he can control his body and get to the basket. I saw something special there, and I thought to myself that I'm looking forward to seeing if he can build on that, and obviously it just exploded. And speaking of explosions, Paler's chances in the Big 12, in a bad way, obviously. We'll be talking about that when we get back.
Huff some glue, take a bath, and drown. And don't forget, you're listening to Cats in the House on POON.
Pizza all at once. Too much to swallow, but for some it's not enough. Pizza, beer, and did I mention cheese? More pizza, please. From our hearts to your tummy. House of Rising Crust. Our main topping is honor.
Hi, I'm inventor Danny Durbins,
And I'm his fraternal twin Heath.
and we have a treat for you. Our newest invention, the Whistlecopter.
The remote control is your whistle.
Here's how it works. The higher the frequency,
The higher the altitude,
the louder the volume.
the faster it goes.
Snap your fingers to turn it left,
Clap your hands to turn it right.
and it can be yours for 3 easy payments of $79.79.
For more information, visit inventortwins.com.
Wake up, America, we're in the future.
Still listening? You have impressed supercomputer.
And welcome back to Cats in the House. Last week I made 2 predictions. One of them was that Peyton Manning would be released this week, and that one was obviously false. He has not met with Jim Irsay. And the other one was I thought that Baylor would be out of the Big 12 race, and it is appearing to look that way. What happened? This is probably the most talented basketball team, maybe aside from Kentucky. What went wrong for them?
Well, I've been saying for years that nobody gets less with more talent than Rick Barnes, but Scott Drew is now the clear leader in that category.
Yeah, what I want to know is why, when you have such an athletic team, do you insist on playing zone defense? When your players match up very well with everyone, and you have Jeff Withey going against shooting guards.
And they don't even play the zone well. You know, they don't make any adjustments. In the first matchup, Thomas would come flashing into the free throw line, and we'd find him, and then he'd either have an open shot or a pass. And then, you know, last matchup we were doing the same thing with Jeff Withey, and they couldn't stop it either time.
Okay, so now we're pretty much down to a 2-horse race here. We got KU and MU charging towards the finish, and Iowa State is definitely still in this, but it's looking like they would probably have to win out. And they got Baylor twice, and they got Missouri one more time. And the idea of them winning all 3 of those would be pretty amazing, but very unlikely.
I don't think Iowa State can take 2.
Yeah, then and we're looking at Missouri's schedule right now. It's pretty favorable. They got Oklahoma State, K-State, and Iowa State at home, which are a couple of tough games, but I think they can handle them in Columbia. Then they're at A&M, at Kansas, and at Texas Tech. And Kansas really looks like the only game there that they should probably lose because of the Allen Fieldhouse magic. Just, it's such a tough place to play. I mean, they've lost 2 games in the last 5 years.
Yeah, Texas and Texas A&M. It's going to be, I think, the whole Big 12 is going to boil down to one night in Allen Fieldhouse, KU, Missouri.
So we cannot disregard the Monday night matchup between KU and K-State. K-State is obviously having an off year, but they always show up to play, and that's going to be a very, very exciting game because KU just really has not been very good on the road this year. This would probably be their biggest road win.
Mm-hmm. And that's K-State's national championship. They're going to be all sorts of fired up, throwing dead chickens onto the court and everything.
Yeah, do you think it's going to be another blackout? This game going to take place in Africa?
What else do they have to do? This is their Christmas. We come to town.
I mean, K-State, they're fighting to play in the tournament right now.
This win, if they would beat us, that would be their win that gets them in. So they're going all out. You know, this is their season.
I mean, they got a lot to prove, but KU does too because they have not had a very meaningful road win yet, and this really counts. This is going to be a fired-up team. This is going to be a great matchup, and as Frank Martin is just a heck of a coach. I don't care what anyone says. He gets a lot out of his players.
No, K-State has no talent on this team. It's amazing they win at all.
Yeah, they need to do...
I think all the credit goes to Frank Martin.
Yeah, you put Frank Martin and you give him Baylor's players.
Oh.
I mean, that's a team that's competing for a national championship.
Yeah, after they lost one big one, he probably just would have taken one of the walk-ons and, killed him in front of the team just to get everyone fired up.
Make the sacrifice.
Yeah, that's how Frank Martin rolls.
But this has been a very exciting Big 12 race, and this is all obviously leading up to the big game in Allen Fieldhouse against Missouri. Would you say, is that the game of the year?
Absolutely.
I mean, for us, obviously we're a little bit biased from being in Jayhawk Nation, and obviously the Duke and North Carolina matchups have been great, which obviously both North Carolina and Kansas having epic meltdowns, and they both have chances to avenge those.
The class of the Big 12, the only question in the Big 12 is who's the best team, Kansas or Missouri?
And it's close.
It's a battle of styles, I think, more than talent. We like playing big. They run those four guards. If they make shots, it's going to be really hard to beat them.
I don't think it's really too biased. I thought we looked like the better team when we played them in Columbia. We just had a terrible 2-minute meltdown because, both teams only have about 5 solid players. So you know what to expect going into this matchup. And I think the Allen Fieldhouse, I don't think those Missouri players are going to be ready for what atmosphere is going to be hitting them there.
Well, they're a pretty old team.
Oh, yeah, that's true. They've played here before, but they never had any success.
I wonder if they can sort of take the energy from the Allen Fieldhouse crowd against them and sort of use that to motivate themselves to hit their shots.
Well, it seems
that's sort of what I'm really afraid of.
Every team comes into Allen Fieldhouse fired up. Every team comes in there on fire, it seems. It's more maintaining that because you just can't just take the Allen Fieldhouse crowd away.
Yeah.
That's a very difficult thing to do. Everybody, KU always has a target on their back, especially in the Big 12. That's the biggest thing is to win in Allen Fieldhouse because that's such a tough venue to play in. So I'm not too worried about teams coming in fired up because KU has dealt with that forever.
It is kind of one scary thing about Missouri is they live and die by the three, and if they get heated up and start making their threes,
we have no answer.
Yeah, it happened in Columbia. They were making all sorts of threes. Throughout the whole game, I was like, yeah, keep shooting these threes so you're not going to make it the whole game.
You don't want that.
They did.
We actually played it pretty well. There were some, I remember Connor Tehan had his hand on Marcus Denman's face when he was shooting. That's about as good as defense you can play.
Denman hit one for about 30 feet right at the start of the game.
Yeah. One thing is for sure, Withy and Robinson have to do what they do, but Tyshawn, Elijah, Relaford, Tehan, they're going to all have to be able to shoot. Because if you can't shoot against Missouri, you're done. You can't play them.
Jeff Withy had 0 points when we played them in Columbia.
Strange, mind-boggling.
He said he was really bothered by getting guarded by a smaller guy for some reason. Hopefully he can figure that out. I think that'll be a big point of emphasis in the practices leading up to the Missouri game.
Jeff Withy, obviously very, very talented and just has these monster games. It seems like it's pretty easy to just get into his head. I've seen him being guarded by 6'7" guys very effectively. Then he'll go up against a 6'10", 6'11" guy and have a great game. He's really a mystery.
Some of his biggest breakouts have been against Anthony Davis, Perry Jones. He needs the challenge of the big guy, but he sort of shies away from the smaller guys.
Just does not do well with aggression, I really think. And just if you push him around, you can get in his head pretty easy. And Missouri, they're a tough team. They're a tough, well-coached team. And they can not easily, it'd be difficult, but they could come into Allen Fieldhouse with a win. But yet, they're also a team that could easily drop one of these games because they've done some strange things, and that's what made the Big 12 so exciting this year.
I know they've been extremely good at home over the last few years, but they do have 2 teams coming in that have already beaten them this year with Oklahoma State and K-State. K-State is really slipping, but I could see Oklahoma State maybe giving them some fits because if you take away that first half where they're just atrocious, they really outplayed us in the second half. I could see Oklahoma State giving Missouri some trouble.
So we got a number of Big 12 games coming up. And Noah, which one are you looking forward to the most this week?
Well, I'm going to go Monday night, the other game going on, Iowa State at Baylor. Neither team has a realistic chance at winning the title, but they're both alive. But the loser will no longer be after the end of that game.
This game will put a nail in one of those teams' Big 12 coffins. Jed, what do you got?
KU at K-State for sure. Sunflower Showdown. Interesting to see how KU is going to respond after playing a horrible second half against Oklahoma State.
You got to think they're going to come out fired up, and Bill Self is going to be really on them, and they're going to be kind of afraid of him. Here he gets kind of scary when he's mad.
Yeah, he's almost Frank Martin-esque.
His toupee flies up a bit.
Yeah. Nobody wants to see that. And I'm going to go off the Big 12 grid and say I cannot wait to see Jeremy Lin play again. He is one of the most exciting stories and players in the NBA right now. And he'll be playing New Orleans, and they should easily handle them. And then they're going to play the Dallas Mavericks in Dallas. It'll be interesting to see if he can come back and play another great defensive team and have another big game. That's our show this week. And Alex, we really miss you. But we had a really good time with Jed. Thank you so much for stopping in with us.
Absolutely, man. Anytime.
So, Jed, here at Cats in the House, we have something that we like to say, and that is, we do not need no cats here. You know what we need?
Dogs.
Meow.
Thanks for listening.
Ending transmission in 3, 2, 1.
All rise for the Honorable Judge McGrath. Dan McGrath is a tough, straight-talking, no-nonsense judge criminals don't want to meet. Diane McGrath is also a tough, straight-talking, no-nonsense wife. Her husband just can't get into bed.
Objection, Your Honor.
Overruled. The new comedy critics are pleading for you to watch.
Honey, I was thinking, it's my birthday, and it's been a while since you and I have been in session.
Whoa there, Tiger. Motion denied. Didn't I sentence you to washing those dishes?
Guilty as charged, but hey, can I motion for a 6-minute recess with you?
Overruled, Buster. Besides, your birthday technically ended at midnight.
And I sentence you to a grumpy husband.
Order in the court. I thought I was the judge here.
Tune in to America's favorite new sitcom, Overruled. Court is in session Thursday on POON.